My dog went flying through the air over the tree. I don't know how it did it.
Okay.
Damn it, I'm really confused. All I saw was my dog coming over the fence, and he was dead when she hit the ground. I didn't see any cars. All I saw was my dog coming over the fence.
What?
911, what are you reporting?
We got someone or something crawling around out here.
Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal or?
Jesus Christ, you better...
Sir?
Zia!
Hello?
Get somebody out here.
What's going on now, sir?
That son of a bitch is about 6'9", I don't know.
Do you see him now, sir?
Yes, I'm looking right at him.
Uh-oh. Okay, hang on.
He's right...
Is he in your yard, sir?
Yeah, God, he's big.
Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
He's looking at me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the show. You're listening to Bigfoot and the Citizen Scientist podcast. I'm your host, Tyler, and I want to thank you for being here. If you have an encounter or story you would like to share, email me at sciencemeetsbigfoot@gmail.com, or if you're listening in on anchor.fm, feel free to hit that message button on our profile. Either way works for me. Just get at me. Before I get into today's topic, I want to start this episode out with a Rate This Podcast review. Shout out to user JGunter2011 for the wonderful and kind words he wrote. It's reviews and sentiments like that renew that vigor and flame to produce more and exciting material for you, the listener. So thank you very much. Today we're covering a research group called the Lost Cryptid Conservatory. The group is an independent and interdisciplinary Bigfoot and cryptid research organization dedicated to serious field and academic study and scientific retrieval of forensic evidence of lost cryptids and other unknown species. With a social media presence since 2011, this research group has some interesting documented findings, spectacular interview guests, and a whole lot more. So please make sure you go check their stuff out. I had the privilege and honor to have Linda Pomranky, a member of the LCC, agree to an interview for myself as well as all of you. She has a lot of insight into the group and some encounter stories. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Okay, I don't see that on my end, but...
Oh, weird.
Yeah, there it is. It's up on the left-hand corner.
Okay, good. As long as you can see it. Okay, so hello, everybody. This is Tyler with Bigfoot and the Citizen Scientist podcast, and I have Linda Pomranky on line here, and we're going to talk a little bit about their conservatory that they got going. So say hello, Linda.
Hi, everybody. Lost Cryptids in the house.
Yeah. So who is the Lost Cryptid Conservatory?
Blake Deutscher started the whole thing. He's the founding member.
Okay.
There's David Dominique. There's Chad, Sherry, Mary, Gabe Heiss, filmmaker. We actually have like up to 18 people in our group now. Most of them are researchers. 4 of us make up the board. That would be Blake, David, Chad, and myself. We make up the board. We're board members.
Okay. What do you guys? What kind of stuff do you guys investigate? Is it mainly Bigfoot stuff, or what all do you guys look into?
Yeah, so far it's mainly Bigfoot, but we're pretty much willing to investigate any cryptid. We take reports for any cryptid sightings. We go all over the state of Michigan. So far, we haven't gone out of state yet. We haven't been asked to come out of state, but most of the members are in southern or southeast Michigan. I myself, I'm in Midland County, which is like the middle of the Lower Peninsula. There's a couple of us up here. Some of us are over by Lake Michigan. So we're kind of scattered around, and we travel all over the state, including the Upper Peninsula.
Okay. Very nice. What kind of got you into the conservatory?
Well, to begin with, I was with a group from West Branch, Michigan. It's the West Branch Bigfoot Committee. And the founding member of that is Philip Shaw, and he's from West Branch. Great guy, great researcher. And we have a conference up there, the West Branch Bigfoot Conference, every year. And I was with Phil for a couple years there. And I met Blake and at a conference up there. And then I met my friend Sherry. And Sherry, who is on our team, she's a researcher. Sherry and I found out that we have a past history that, like, from probably 30 years ago. And it was really odd because in the last 30 years, we never talked or, we didn't go out or anything like that. And Sherry and I got to talking, and she joined the West Branch group. And Sherry actually called me one day and told me that the Cryptids wanted us to come out to an outing with them. So we went to a camp out, went to a couple camp outs, and it was love at first sight. After that, it was just like a blast. I mean, It was like coming home and finding your home and finding your family. For me, that's the way I feel.
Yeah, that's awesome. So have you had an encounter or anything like that?
Yes, I did. I did when I was 14. I was in junior high school at the time. It happened in Midland County, Michigan. On my summer vacation, I was up here in Michigan with my family. My dad's from Michigan. At the time, we lived in Oklahoma because my dad was in the Air Force, and we were stationed in Oklahoma. My mom's from Oklahoma. That's how they met. And we used to come up here every summer for family vacation in July. I can't give you the exact date. I can only tell you it was in July, in the summertime. And it was probably like the first or second day that we got here in Michigan. And I went to my aunt and uncle's house, and my cousins had a new mini bike. And we all went into the backyard and the woods back there. There was a trail going back in the woods, and we were all taking turns on the mini bike back there. So that's where I had my first, my encounter was back there on the trail on the mini bike. I actually was on the mini bike with my step cousin, Kathy. Kathy was driving the bike. I was sitting behind her. And we took off down the trail, and at the end of the trail, there's a big turnaround back there. And when we hit the turnaround, it's all sandy. Across the turnaround, looking at us was this face. All you could see was like from here up on it. And it was just staring at us. And I'm sure Kathy saw it the same time I did because it all happened really fast. I mean, we drove the bike. I think we were both in shock because she was driving, she turned the bike over on us. I remember I burnt my leg on the muffler on the mini bike, but at the time, I didn't think about that. We picked the bike back up and we got back on the bike and we got out of there. We took off back down the trail back to the house, to the backyard, and we got the heck out of there. And it was just one of those things that just happened so fast, and your mind, my mind couldn't process. Like I knew what I saw, and I can, like, to this day I can see it in my mind what I saw. I can picture it, and I remember its face and what it looked like, but I couldn't process it because it wasn't like anything I've ever seen before in my life. I've never seen pictures of anything like that at that time. This was back in the 70s. I'm guessing it was probably about, I was like 14 at the time. So when we got back up to the house, Kathy was very upset and I was just in shock. And when we got off the bike, the two other kids came up and grabbed the bike and they took off down the trail on the bike. And I asked Kathy, I said, did you just see what I saw back there? Because in my mind, I'm thinking this is why the bike got turned over. She saw it too, and this is why she turned, she basically lost control of the bike. When we were in the turnaround, we were pointed right straight forward at this thing. So I can't tell you why she turned the bike, why she lost control of the bike. I'm guessing it was because she was in shock or something. But she kind of started crying and she said she didn't want to talk about it. And she went in the house. And I didn't mention it that day. I didn't say anything to anybody because I was having issues processing what I had saw.
Understandably.
I knew it wasn't a bear. My whole family, my dad's family, actually both my mom and my dad's family, we're fishermen, campers, hunters. We grew up in the woods. I grew up in the woods my whole life. We've been in the woods. We've seen bears. We've been up very close to bears. In the Upper Peninsula, we used to go to the dumps in Paradise. Back then, you could go to the dumps and you could sit in your car and watch the bears. They don't. From what I understand, they don't allow that anymore. So I knew what it wasn't, but I didn't know what it was at the time. Bigfoot never, or Sasquatch never even crossed my mind at the time. I didn't even know anything about that kind of thing back then.
Okay, so that kind of brings me back to what I was going to ask. So you didn't really have any history with the idea of Sasquatch prior to?
Not much. I mean, it's possible that I might have heard. I lived in Oklahoma. We didn't, back then, you didn't have cable TV. There was no internet. Your wildlife show that you watched every week was Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. That was a show that I used to watch with my dad every week. Back then, we had like maybe 3 or 4 channels on TV. There was no cable. Nobody had cell phones or anything like that. And so it's possible that I might have heard like stories or something like that about it. But as far as visual things, like looking at things on TV or something like that, no, I had nothing. I had nothing to go by. Back then, there was nothing for me to look at there, so what I saw was burned into my memory. Even though I can't remember the exact time of day, I know it was in the afternoon because it was a Class A sighting.
Okay.
It was a bright blue sunny sky, no overcast, no rain. It was in the afternoon. It was after lunchtime. Our parents had left. All the parents had left. I think they left. They took my younger brother, he's 7 years younger than me. They took him with them, and I think they went, even though they didn't want to tell us this, I think they went to get ice cream or something.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to deal with all of us. There was a lot of us kids there that day. There was a neighbor kid there that a friend of my cousin's, his name was Roger. Roger was there that day, and so there altogether there was probably, I'm gonna say 4, 5, 6. There was like 6 of us that day on that mini bike taking turns, 2 at a time on that bike, and none of the other kids ever said anything to me. And my cousin Lori, they lived there at the time. They were renting this house in Midland County, and nobody had said anything to me about this or anything that was going on at that house. I actually found out years later, when this all came out in the open between us, that they also had sightings on this property and down the road a ways in an apple orchard. My cousin Jim and one of his friends also saw. We don't know if it's the same one or if it was a different one. I mean, we don't know. He saw it in an apple orchard picking apples off apple trees on
Okay.
foot. The boys were on foot, and they saw it. And that also was in the daytime.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of cooperating,
So, yeah. But Lori, the way that Lori described what she saw to me, what Lori saw and what I saw, it kind of sounds to me like Lori and I both saw the same thing. The description that she gave for like the color and its head, the way the head was, and all the hair. It had hair. The ears were covered with hair. It sounds like it might have been the same creature.
Okay.
So,
Well, quite possibly.
mhm.
You know, it's funny the little things that get inscribed in our memory, especially things that I mean, it's totally understandable. Like for me, for instance, the only reason I remember it was nighttime is because my sighting was around a campfire. It was completely dark everywhere,
Wow.
but yeah. So that's fortunate for me. But any other little nuance surrounding that, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I could tell you if it didn't have happened. If it wouldn't have happened that night, I'd probably be able to explain everything around me, But
So you don't remember like the time or anything, or
I
the
remember.
date?
I remember it was like around 10 o'clock at night. And like it was dark enough to where it was pitch black all around my campfire. So it was I was up outside of Estacada, Oregon, when I had my sighting, my Class A. I've had all sorts of class experiences happen to me. I spend a lot of time out investigating. So,
Well, yeah, you and I have known each other actually through Facebook for a couple of years now.
yeah,
I don't know if you realize that or not, but
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
okay. I didn't
Yeah.
know because you sent me an IM, and I'm not sure how you found me. If maybe you saw a Lost Cryptids Conservatory post, or
That was exactly.
is that what happened? Because they asked me, they wanted to know, and I didn't know what to tell them.
Oh, yep, that was exactly it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm brand new to your guys's the group. I had never heard of it before.
Well, Blake actually has been on YouTube for a while now, and he's got a lot of older videos at the YouTube site of him and James, the Caller Kid. We call him the Caller Kid. He's one of the younger members of our group, and he has a lot of videos of him and James going out in the woods. And back then, they did a lot of live videos and posted them on YouTube. But now the group is kind of like taken off. We've added more members. We have a lot of very interesting people in our group. We have 2 law enforcement, 2 ex-law enforcement, I want to say agents in our group. They're both retired law enforcement in our group. And one of them, Val Savala, he's the data miner. He collects Bigfoot reports and he has like the largest, probably Bigfoot report website right now in the state of Michigan.
Wow.
And he has a Facebook site, Michigan Bigfoot data and reports. He's got like I don't know where the guy is like amazing. I don't know where he even comes up with all this, but he does, and that's what he does. And he's really not even a Bigfooter per se. Like, he'll go out in the woods and stuff, but his whole thing is research, and he profiles the Sasquatch. He's profiling it like you would profile a serial killer. The data that he collects, if you go to his Facebook site, you'll see what I mean. Because that's his expertise with law enforcement in the past. He found missing persons. And then David Dominique, he was also a law enforcement, and he actually investigated a lot of missing children cases, crimes against children, that kind of thing. So yeah, our team is made up of a lot of people from different backgrounds, different types of things.
Okay. That's wow. That's very fascinating. Actually, if you really think about that, that's brings a whole array of perspectives into the subject, which we need. I mean, if everyone's thinking the same thing, then it's not going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I didn't. When I first joined this group, I mean, it took me a while. I mean, everybody in the group were strangers to me. When I went to the first camp out with everybody, I knew the person that I've known the longest is Ernest Fargo. And I met Ernie also at the West Branch conference. Ernie and his girlfriend Michelle, and I've known them and Sherry. I've known them the longest, and we went to some private property and did a big camp out. And so I've known Ernie for at least 3.5 years. But when I went to the camp out, I had no idea like who all these people were and what their backgrounds were. And you kind of just, as you get to talk to people, you kind of find out more and more. And it was just totally amazing. These people are amazing. It's like everybody just like came together, and it was like I think it was like something that was meant to be, just like fate. That's the way I feel about it. Awesome. We have a guy in the group that does film, and he's got that's what he does. He's a filmmaker. He does other things too. His name is Gabe Heiss. And we also have another guy in the group. He's new, and his name is Josh Parsons. And Josh has his own podcast that he recently, not exactly sure how old his podcast is, but I don't think it's very old. But Josh also does that type of work. And he still has his podcast. I want to say it's called the Hide and Seek podcast. And if you look around on Facebook, you'll see it posted at my website, which is the Michigan Sasquatch Experience. That's my Facebook site. And you'll see the Hide and Seek podcast posted there. So yeah, we have a lot of interesting people in our group, and they all do like different things. Ernie Fargo he collects books, rare books, and he also collects track casts, like Sasquatch track casts, and he probably has the largest collection of track casts, not only in the state of Michigan, but I'm going to take a far reach out there and say next to Cliff Barrickman and Jeff Meldrum, Ernie probably has the largest collection there is. And if you come to our conference, he will have them there. We had our first conference at Dewey Lake this year. We have the Dewey Lake Monster Conference, and Ernie had a lot of his cast there. And
Okay.
so he's a wealth of knowledge.
Huh.
He knows a lot about, he's got a good memory, like for all the researchers. He studied all the older researchers. Bless his heart, Dr. Bendernagel, who's passed away now.
Yeah.
If you ask any question about anything like that, trivia, Ernie can answer any question you have about that. We went to the Salt Fork Bigfoot conference in Salt Fork, not this year, but the year before. And Cliff Barrickman and Bobo was there, and they did trivia night. And it was a horrible thunderstorm that night. It was on Sunday. We actually, a friend of ours, Chuck Sutherland, Chuck was actually out in the field in this storm finding tracks while we were all in the lounge in the resort doing trivia night. And Ernie, they broke up into teams for trivia, and Ernie could have won that contest against teams of 5 people if he had actually had a there. So he's an interesting guy.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So what do you know when the Lost Cryptid was founded? Like when it was started exactly? How long?
Geez. You'd have to ask Blake that.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I wish I could tell you the year, but
Yeah.
it's at the if you go to our YouTube channel, the Lost Cryptids Conservatory, if you go to the YouTube channel, it'll tell you on there.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
And
guilty. You busted me, Tyler.
so
Yep, I don't know everything, and unfortunately, I can't remember everything either. So.
Well, to me, that makes you even more credible of a investigator. So
Yeah.
there's too many know-it-alls out there.
No,
But,
yeah, we're not. Most of the people on my team, everybody has their own ideals of what Sasquatch is and what we're dealing with, and everybody has ideals. But actually, I've found that most of the people on my team are pretty open-minded when it comes to cryptids.
Okay.
We at least I know I do. I try to keep an open mind. I think the one thing that we probably all agree on, though, and I get asked this a lot, is that Bigfoot, that the Sasquatch actually is a flesh and blood creature. As far as at least physical evidence, we have physical evidence. Last summer, I've got a knuckle print. I've got, footprints that I found like in one of our research areas in Southeast Michigan. We found tracks. Some of the guys that summer, last summer, a couple of the guys found a track. This is an area that we go to frequently in the summer. I want to say it's like our main area. And these things are coming up to us at our campfire.
Whoa.
They're like coming right up to our camp, and they're surrounding us. They're screaming at us. Blake and I were around the fire last summer at night. Other people had gone to bed, and Blake and I had little rocks thrown at us. Not big rocks, just little rocks. Just say like, "Hey, we're here," type of thing. At least that's the way we took it. If they really wanted to hurt us, I think they would have threw something bigger than just little,
Yes, absolutely.
But so yeah, it's very exciting. It's a very exciting group that I'm in. A bunch of great people with great hearts, big-hearted people too.
Way awesome. Well, I swear you have a visual on my keynotes for this interview question, because you've just been answering them as I line them out. So.
Well, I'm older than I am older than most of the people in our group. So my long-term memory is like, if you were to ask me questions about researchers and dates and researchers, like Dr. Bendernagel and people like that, I'm probably not going to be able to give you like dates and things like that. That would be Ernie Fargo is the person that can tell you all that.
Okay. Okay.
But I know a little bit about probably some of everything. So
yeah, that's the thing. There's just so much to take in, and if
Right.
if you're a slow learner like I am, and you have to really really work at memorizing those things,
Right.
it takes years and years.
Mhm.
You know, it's been going on for so long. There's so much back
Yeah.
knowledge to get before you can even get to present.
Well, unfortunately, I love to read, but I don't find any time to read now. I have probably 8 books right now,
Hmm.
all to do with the Sasquatch. New books, old books that I just haven't got a chance to read them.
Yeah.
I do work. I still work full time. I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
I'm the medical person on our team. I have a medical bag. Um, that can go out in the field.
Hmm.
So if anybody breaks a leg or gets hurt, I'm the medical person, the go-to
Nice.
person for that. So I do that's kind of like probably my main job on our team. I'm the only medical person on the team. I mean, a couple of the other members, they know CPR
Hmm.
and stuff like that, but I'm the only nurse on the team. We don't have any other nurses or doctors at this time on the team.
Okay.
So yeah, I haven't really found a lot of time to read to catch up on my reading
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But I think you and I met through probably Sasquatch Chronicles, Wes Germer's
Yes.
site. And I'm still an administrator there on his fan page.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I know
Yep.
people get mixed up and they think Wes started that. That Wes did not start that. It's
No.
his fan page. Of
He
course, he
made
posts on there.
he made
Which
he
is
made, he
not,
made, he he made clear that he
yeah,
did not start that on one of his episodes. So if
yeah,
you don't know about that, go back and listen. Oh.
yeah, yeah. I love Wes. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He's the one that Wes is the first person, publicly that I actually, I emailed him and went to about my encounter.
Hmm.
Um, he's the first person I actually talked to about it. He actually called me on the phone and we talked about it and I told him what happened to me when I was younger.
Hmm.
And then he wanted me to be on his podcast. At that point, I was on with Kumbo Baker on show number I think it was 300.
Yeah.
Um I was on there and now one of the people asked me to be an administrator on his fan page. So I've done that now for a couple years. Probably 2 or 3 years now. I've lost count. Time goes by really fast in this
Yes. It
business.
does. It does. It really does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just did an interview with Wes. I don't know. It should
Did you
be.
really? Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. So
yeah.
you'll get to hear my entire account there.
That's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good
And
guy.
and,
He's a
and
good
I
guy. I love his sense of humor.
yes. I also
Yeah,
did I also did Tony Merkel's The Confessionals podcast last month.
I like Tony and his wife. Yep.
Yeah, I know
Yep.
they're such a great
They're
team.
awesome.
And Jack's a great editor and producer, and yeah, just great. For those people listening that don't know, go and check out Sasquatch Chronicles podcast. That's Wes Germer's podcast. He's got a very interesting story. And Tony Merkel's The Confessionals. And I don't think he's ever had a Bigfoot sighting. I know he's done a ton of investigations and he's found a few tracks here or there, but he's all everything cryptid, supernatural, and conspiracies. So go check those guys out.
Tony and Wes, they're both of them. Their sense of humor is like
Yes.
so awesome. And you can't. I've met a few people. I want to say this business. It's not. I don't know if you want to call what we do a business, but Sasquatch research, whatever.
Hmm.
But I think really you have to have a sense of humor to get through this. You have to deal with the post-traumatic stress disorder of your own encounter. And then you have to help other people deal with their PTSD from their encounter, because you're going to meet people, and I have, that also have and are still, there's still people that recently, new people that are dealing with this. So you have to keep a sense of humor, or this isn't, it's not the business, it's not the place to be in. If you don't have a sense of humor, it's really not.
Absolutely. And that kind of harkens back to, that's what kind of drives my is what is the fuel for what drives me in the subject, is because my encounter rocked my world, like almost past the return point. And if actually the very first when it was probably a week after my encounter, I was super messed up. You were talking about PTSD. I was extremely messed up. I thought I was going absolutely crazy. I had a paranormal mindspeak thing happen, and it just shook me to the core. Absolutely shook me.
So let me ask you, was it just, do you think it's possible you were hit with infrasound, or do you subscribe to that ideal of infrasound at all, or?
So I am a very skeptical person. I look anything to the unexplained that happens to me. I always try to find a scientific aspect to it. And the fact of the matter is, there's animals on this planet that can produce infrasound.
Exactly.
So so I do. I subscribe to that idea. I don't know for sure whether it was infrasound and my mind was just, because the message I got was almost, it felt like it was there was an intent behind it, trying to let me know, don't be afraid, we're only here observing you. And it wasn't, and it wasn't like I described it wasn't quite in my thought process. When, like, for me, when I think to myself, I almost have this like tonation in my mind of how I would think. Like, you kind of think to yourself, and you can kind of hear like your own voice in your head, the way you sound when you would talk.
Right.
And it was not like that. It was like a darker, deeper voice. It just felt different. I don't know how to describe it.
It's not yours.
Yeah. And
I think I feel like I have experienced mindspeak myself. So I think I kind of know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like it was mindspeak, and I feel like it was answered for me because I reacted on that mindspeak and did what I was told to do. And when I did what I was told to do, I had an encounter right here in my backyard where I live now.
Oh, wow.
This was 11 o'clock at night. All I got to see was the eyes. It was standing behind a bush, but it was well over 7 feet tall. And I had to drive over here because I wasn't actually living here at the time. But I had the mindspeak at my parents' house, who live around the corner, and I had this voice telling me I needed to come over here. I'm like, okay, so this is like 11 o'clock at night. And I did, and I came over here, and I walked into my backyard, and I had an encounter with what I believe was a Sasquatch. Because I don't know what else is that tall that has eyes that far apart and big and round.
Yeah.
And there were circumstances leading up to it. My brother's dog, he had an old English bulldog, Hollywood. He was like our family dog. It was my brother's dog, but he belonged to all of us. He had been going nuts at the fence line for a couple weeks, and it was every night, like the same time, 11 o'clock at night. And my mom would be like, she's like, oh, it's just deer. It's just deer out there. And I'm like, that's not deer. I went out on the back deck and I would listen. And you know when they're in the area, everything in the woods is like super quiet.
Yes.
You know, you don't hear a sound when these things are around. Like every other animal is like super silent and quiet. And that's everything was quiet. And that's when I started experiencing, in my mind, what I think is possible that it might have been mindspeak. All I know is I reacted to it and I answered it, and I drove. I got in my car and I drove over here around the corner to the house I live in now, and I did, and I got out and I went into the backyard, and there it was in the woods, in the wood line, and you know what? It didn't say anything at that point. It didn't say anything. I didn't say anything out loud, but in my mind, I was saying, okay, everything's fine. Everything's going to be okay. I'm just going to back up. I'm just going to leave now. You know, I don't mean you any harm. I kind of got I was a little bit afraid. At that point, I was kind of freaking out because I'm like, holy crap, look, it's like right there. And it's looking at me and it's not doing anything. It didn't take a step. It didn't move forward. So I backed up and went to get in my car. But when I went to get in my car in the driveway one more time, I took my flashlight and I went like this just to see if it was still there. And it was still there and it was watching me. So I got in the car and I left. And the next day, or it was 2 days later, I decided I was going to come back over here and debunk it because I said, okay, it was an owl. It was an owl sitting on a branch. You know, a barred owl. We have a lot of barred owls here. So I did. I came back over here. It wasn't an owl because there were no branches there. Where the eyes were at, there was nothing there for an owl to sit on. Whoa. So yeah, it is what it is. I mean, so very disturbing. And not long after that, I found stick structures back here on the other side of the power line in the woods.
Whoa.
Last summer. And yeah, and they're still back there. And I'm still having activity here at my house. It's been going on since this last summer. But that's another story for another time. There's always something going on with Bigfooters, right?
Right. So can you just did you see like the eyes glowing or anything like that? Is that like how were you?
I shined my flashlight on it, so it was eye reflection. I don't know if you want to call it eye reflection, like in my flashlight, but it was standing like all I could see was the eyes, and the rest of it was just looked black, and it was like behind this big bush. This was in the summertime. So now the bush that it was standing behind, like right now, it's like all dead and shriveled up, and there's like nothing on it, on that bush now. You know, now it's wintertime. We've got snow back there and everything.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, and of course I didn't go home and tell my mom and dad this because my mom, she'd say, "Oh, you saw a bear."
Yeah.
Thing as a bear, you know, the typical mainstream reaction is you saw a bear. And my dad, he would probably get nervous and he would worry. He's a worrier. Gotcha. So I try not to tell them a lot about what I do. They know what I do, but I don't talk a lot about it with my parents. They're elderly and they have enough gray hair on their head. So leave it at that. My sister, and the rest of my family know. They know what I do now. They're kind of getting more of an idea of what I've gone through and what I'm doing now. And they're actually very supportive of me.
Nice. So, it's always nice to have.
Yes.
Wow. If you had to guesstimate, about how tall was this thing that you saw in your backyard?
Well, when I went back, the next day or whatever, in the daytime, of course, when I went back, I'm guessing this thing, as far as the actual eyes, because all I could see was the eyes, like underneath and above, You could kind of like see a shape, but it was all black. I mean, everything was dark. And I'm going to say probably at least 8 feet. Like the eyes themselves were at least like 8 feet up in the air.
Wow.
Yeah, and there's no tree there. There's no branches. So there's nothing there that an owl could have been sitting on. It couldn't have been a raccoon because a raccoon would have had to climb up a tree. And since there's no tree there, and the bush is like I don't even know what kind of bush it is, but it's just a bush and with tiny little, very thin, branches and stuff going off it. So.
Well, and for people who have experience, they understand that there's also, even with eye shine with game animals, there's a difference in size and shape per species.
Yeah.
So I mean, you'd be able to tell if it was a raccoon eye shine. They'd be little tiny shine back, glares coming back, and the color would be completely more than likely different.
Right.
And that totally rules out humans because we don't have eye shine. We don't elicit eye shine back. Like our eyeballs soak in the light. So, wow.
Well, what's the difference between eye shine and reflection? I've heard different people. One guy's like, no, it's not eye shine. It's reflection. So, I mean, I guess I really don't know the difference. I just say eye shine. Like if I shine a white flashlight on something and it's eye shine, but somebody else might say, no, that's not that's eye glow or eye reflection. I mean, maybe there's a difference.
There might be, but to me, that's just playing with mincing words.
Well, I know. But, I'm on all these websites, so and people fight and they argue on there, and one person has this ideal, the other person's got this ideal of how something is or what it should be. So I'm just like I'm basically like a sponge on the internet with Bigfoot. I'm like taking all this information in now on all these websites, like something I didn't have when I was younger because I didn't have the internet. So I just keep learning more and more every day, and I keep having more experiences with the Lost Cryptids Conservatory. We all keep having more experiences. Things are cooking up right now. They're starting to get more exciting. We're looking forward to this next summer to getting back to southeastern Michigan to our what I call our main research site, where we've gotten tracks. I actually got a knuckle print there last summer.
Whoa.
I'm like the only person. I'm the only person that I know of in our group that has actually found a knuckle print, and it was early in the morning. It was like, I don't know, maybe like 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. Everybody else was still in bed, and I got up, dude, and I took off down the trail out in the woods, and I found this knuckle print. And I was, I don't know, I was like high. It was like I was just like it's like euphoric. It was like euphoria.
Well, there really isn't that many knuckle prints out there. So
I didn't really know that. I mean, I'm not a track expert. I mean, I know. I think Dr. Meldrum, either Dr. Meldrum or Cliff Barrickman, one of them. I think one of them has a nice cast track for a knuckle print. And then there's the famous Nutella
jar. Yeah.
Cast.
I actually I'm saving up to buy that from Cliff's shop because I live 30 minutes away from his museum, so I'm there a lot.
Oh, lucky you! Hey, all I've got is the T-shirt from there. I haven't been to the museum yet.
Well,
you're in a good spot. You really are.
Yeah, I am. I'll keep you up to date because he just let me do a tour of the museum and a little interview with him. So I'm gonna be releasing that soon. So I'll let you know when I do. Did you meet his wife?
Did you meet Melissa? She's a sweetie, isn't she?
Yes.
She just seems like a really sweet person.
Yes.
Hey, Tyler, when you come to Michigan, you got to come out with the Lost Cryptids.
I'm totally
in the field with us.
Actually, it's funny because I just had a friend that moved up to Michigan to start working, and And I was just telling her, I was like, well, you're an excuse to go up there and visit. She's kind of near Escanaba area. I don't know exactly where she's at. But
Escanaba in the moonlight.
yeah, Jeff Daniels,
That's
you know the movie.
That's down on US 2, west on US 2.
Okay. So, so I have 2 excuses to go visit in Michigan.
I have an extra bedroom in my house,
All
but
right.
if you come to Michigan and go out with the Lost Cryptids, we will take you out in the field with us, and I guarantee you might not see a Sasquatch, but you will have a good time.
All right. I like it.
Yep.
Well, before we wrap this up, I want to give you an opportunity to throw some plugs out there. Who you know what I mean. So,
the Lost Cryptids Conservatory, you can find us on YouTube.
Okay.
And we have a Facebook site, the Lost Cryptids Conservatory Facebook site.
Okay.
Michigan Sasquatch Experience, which is a Facebook page. And there's the gumshoe guy, Val Savala. I want to say it's Michigan Bigfoot Report and Sightings. And he's the guy I told you that keeps data. He keeps track of like all the sightings in Michigan and explores like all the data, the time of day, the temperature, all these little details that as a researcher we all should probably be doing, but some of us don't. Guilty. Yeah. Some of us are so enthralled at the time that we're not thinking about, hey, what's the temperature out when I'm looking at this? You know what I mean? At this track. So, but Val is the man that does that. He's good.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yeah, that takes a special skill because, I thought I was pretty a pretty well documentary type of guy when it comes to stuff like that until I had, you're in the middle of the heat of the moment. You don't think to record that kind of stuff. You don't, you're on a one mind track set. It just takes training to get out of that. So, it's rough, hard training.
And I will message you after we're finished here. I will message you his exact Facebook site. So if you want to join his Facebook site, I think you already are on the Lost Cryptids, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
The Facebook. Are you on Michigan Sasquatch Experience?
I believe I am.
Okay, so you're not on Val's then, or?
I'll have to double check. Let me look. But yeah, I'll let you know.
Okay.
I belong to like 90 different groups on Facebook, so I have to scroll through the
Are these research groups or just Facebook
over half of them are research groups.
Wow.
Yeah.
Are you going out in the field with these people?
No, I actually I find their documentations and study them, and then I've been starting to like reach out, like you guys. I found you guys, and I here we are. So I'm just trying to. The whole point of my podcast is I'm beyond trying to prove their existence to people physically.
Of course. You know they're real. I know they're real.
Right.
We're both beyond that, of course.
So if I can showcase the science that's been showcased for us behind the phenomenon to the general public, that's all I'm looking to do. For the skeptic to have to stop and be like, whoa, wait a minute. So that's my ultimate goal. I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm just trying to get the ideology out there. So
sure.
So that's why I do what I do. So that's where you guys come into play. I've been kind of looking around trying to find out. I have Clackamas Sasquatch Research Group scheduled to come on soon. They're super eager to share what they've been finding.
Awesome.
And they're based out of Estacada Highway, Bigfoot Clackamas, Bigfoot Highway. But yeah, so that's awesome. So go check out all of those places that she just told you to go check out, guys.
Yep. Lost Cryptids Conservatory.
Yes.
Look, I even got the shirt on tonight.
Yes, you do. I'll post this video on YouTube once I get all the editing out, and then on my channel, and I'll forward it to you and all that good stuff. So.
Oh, it's great talking to you, Tyler.
Absolutely. Thank you for hanging on there.
Hey, I hope to hear from you again. I've got like a whole team of like 18 people. Anytime you want to interview, hit us up.
Awesome. Next time we talk, I'll be in a full studio, so it'll be 100 times better too.
Be live, huh? Live broadcast?
Yes, live broadcast.
That's awesome.
Yes. So.
Cool.
Thank you again for your time, Linda.
Bye.
Bye. And that's all I have for you today. Linda is a very nice and passionate individual who is wholeheartedly into what she does, and for that, we thank her for coming on. Make sure you check out the Lost Cryptid Conservatory social media platforms, like, subscribe, and share all of their stuff. They have some pretty amazing findings, so I highly encourage all of you to check them out. So before I let you go, remember, love each other, love yourselves, be kind, be safe, and until next time.